Okay, so for this diagram, I have drawn on the outside what the moon would look like in the different phases if you're looking at it from the Earth's perspective. And on the inside ring is how the moon looks from space or just from like an outside perspective. So to start with, the sun, let's just say, is on the right side. And at the beginning of the moon's cycle, it's going to be a new moon, which means the shadow from the shadow of the moon from the sun is what's going to be visible. So it's just going to look dark from Earth. But throughout the phases, when the moon orbits around, this part on the sun is always going to be lit up, and then the side of the moon in the back is always going to be dark. So when the moon's between the Earth and the sun, we're just only going to be able to see the dark back part. And then as it starts orbiting or moving around, it becomes a waxing crescent. So you start seeing a little bit of the moon, but still majority of it is dark. And that's what it looks like if you're standing on Earth and looking up at it. But still, only half of the moon is lit up from the sun, and half of it is dark in the shadow. So you're just gradually seeing more of it. And then when it's at its first quarter, and you're standing on the Earth, you can look and see exactly how it looks from space. You see half of it lit up and half of the shadow from the sun's light. And then for a waxing gibbous, as it moves farther around, you only see a little bit of the shadow as more of the sunlight reaches it. And then when the moon reaches 180 degrees, it's a full moon, because now this whole front part that's illuminated by the sun is visible. So if you're standing on Earth, you're seeing just this whole lit up part, versus if you're over here and the moon's in between the Earth and the sun, you're only going to see the shadow part. And then after the full moon, it goes to a waning gibbous. So a little of the moon starts becoming covered again. And then third quarter, it's the same thing, but the opposite side. Same thing as first quarter, excuse me. You're going to see half of it lit up and half of it in the shadow from the sun. And then waning crescent, there's only a little bit of the moon visible. It's almost getting covered up until it reaches back to the new moon, and then the whole cycle starts over. And the lunar cycle, it takes a month to do. So about 30 days for it to reach full all the way around. And the moon and the sun look roughly about the same size, because even though the moon is closer, or it's because the moon is closer, even though the moon's smaller and the sun's bigger, it's because, the moon is closer, so it looks bigger, and then the sun's farther out, so it looks smaller. And the orbit of the moon isn't directly lined up with the Earth and or aligned with like the Earth and the sun. So eclipses happen when the path of the moon falls directly in line with the Earth's umbra, and then the shadow of the Earth blocks out the moon, so you can't see it. And then vice versa for the sun, the moon will line up with the sun, and then it'll cover it up. And it has to be fully in the umbra for it to be an eclipse. When it's just like partially in there and it just partially covers up the sun, that's just not, it's not a full eclipse, it's just a partial eclipse. But yeah, so the whole lunar cycle takes a month, and the moon moves about 12 degrees each day. But yeah, that's it.